What's up? What's up? Love and light, everybody. Peace and blessings. It is me, your girl, Catalea, coming at you guys live and direct with another video. Okay, so today we have my little brother, y'all. Yes, my little brother, Dr. Gary Gordon. I would like for you to, at this moment, introduce yourself to everybody. Tell them a little bit something about you.
All right. Hello, everyone. As my sister said, my name is Dr. Gary Gordon, Dr. Gary C. Gordon II, or just Gary in most places. But I'm getting a little feedback. But anywho, a little bit about me. Um, let's see. I was asking her in what regard, but I guess she'll have the follow-up questions and we'll go there. So, born and raised in Arkansas. Don't know how far we're going back, but born in Little Rock, Arkansas, raised in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Came to California when I was 14. Grew up predominantly in the Inland Empire, i.e. stand up, and then traveled kind of all around Southern California. Worked at Pomona. Went to Cal State San Bernardino for my undergrad. Then I did my master's at Cal State Fullerton. That's when I worked at Pomona after that. And then I moved to Camarillo, California, where I work at Cal State Channel Islands. And I've been out here for about 7.5 years. Just really quickly, like I said, I got my undergrad at Cal State San Bernardino, bachelor's in psychology. I got my master's from Cal State Fullerton, a master's in higher ed, and I got my doctorate from Cal State Fullerton as well. And that's the short version of doctorate in higher education.
Okay. Do y'all see? Do y'all hear the Black excellence in the building? Okay. Let me go ahead and brag on my little brother. But but I wanted to the very first question I wanted to ask you because in case you guys are wondering like what this particular YouTube video is about, this particular YouTube video is about showcasing excellent Black men who are role models, excellent fathers, excellent, you know, educational wise, period, like all around the board, because we have so many negative connotations of our Black men. So I wanted to kick off a series that I'm about to start with my brother. I'm actually going to do a full documentary, y'all. So I'm excited about this documentary, and it's going to be highlighting nothing but Black excellence, Black men who are Black fathers. Okay, so that is the whole purpose of this YouTube video, to give you guys an insight of, you know, what a Black man role model is. And I believe my brother is a good example of a Black man role model. So I wanted to ask you about your early stages of growth, like young, you know, your youthful stages. Tell us a little bit something about that. And then we're gonna, you know, go into the segue of how you became a doctor.
Okay. How young? How young? What
That's
youthful
as far back
stage?
as you can remember.
I work within parameters and cut me off because I can be wordy and I can I can speak for quite some time. So
We got time today, so go
all right.
ahead.
Okay. So just a little bit about my youthful stages, just broadly. Like I said, we, as Catalina knows, we grew up, I would say low income. I think that's fair, right? uh,
In the projects, no.
yeah. So we grew up in the projects, the Black projects, and maybe you know this. I always wonder, like we had the Black projects and the white projects in Arkansas, but I'm pretty sure there's Black people in both of them. So I don't know. I don't know why.
Well, to
Okay.
give you a little bit of
Yeah.
synopsis about the Black and the white projects, back then we were segregated. So
Mhm.
on one side you have Black people who lived in the projects, and then on the other side, which would be called the quote unquote white projects, is where the white people live.
Mm,
So when we begin to intertwine with each other, at that point it didn't matter, you could stay in the white or the Black. So
mm. Okay. Yeah, that's deep. That's a bar. I've always wondered that because I think by the time I was coming up, it was it was like that integration, right? And there wasn't really when I went to the white projects, there were black people
White
there.
people, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm too young to inquire about why it's the black projects and the white projects. But we grew up in the black projects. I think one of the best parts about my childhood and about Hot Springs, Arkansas, was just the familiarity, the love, the overall the friendliness, I suppose, just within our community and just within Arkansas in general. So me and my friends, my young friends, um, we had no issue just getting on our bike, traveling through the city, riding up the mountains. Like we didn't have to worry about our lives. We didn't have to think someone was going to take us. We didn't have cell phones. Then I only got my first cell phone till second semester of ninth grade. But like, we didn't have anything. We were just landlines. We walked to our cousin's house. So when I think about my childhood, those are some of the points that are most ingrained, just that ability to understand kindness and cordiality and like friendliness, the ability to be safe, the ability to just have people around you who care, and that's from a community standpoint. So a
Yeah.
quick story, just since you said we had time, like to really drive this home. One day when we were on 3rd Street, I believe, we lived across the street from a cemetery, you all, and then we had an empty lot on the other side of the street. And one day I had my BB gun because that's what you did in Arkansas. Like we had little hand BB guns or CO2, just go to Walmart, you buy it, didn't need ID, didn't need anything, which is wild. But, they're pretty powerful guns if you know like a CO2 BB gun. So I had my BB gun. I was walking across the street in the empty lot with my gun, probably like shooting birds or cats or something. I don't do that anymore. Don't endorse it. Love animals. But I assumed someone called the police or was scared. So that kind of, I know it kind of counteracts my narrative of being safe and like communal and things like that. But it's still a little productive with a gun, I guess. It's with the gun, whatever. But the police from afar, they were like, hey, they talked over their thing, like, what's that in your hand? Like, is that a gun? And I was like, oh, yo, like, I was like, yo, I was like, oh, it's just a BB gun. And I was like, oh, do you want to see? Like, I held it up, literally. I couldn't remember. I was like, oh, do you want to see? It's just like a BB gun. And they're like, no, it's fine. Like, we just got to report that there was a gun or something like that. But, like, carry on. But when I reflect on that moment in my head, especially, I won't say in these times, but these times have been here forever. Um, but I reflect on that moment and think of me holding a gun, a real looking gun. You all like it was
I remember that BB
a
gun, yes.
metal, like a metal body, had like a little like a clip. And I reflect on me holding the gun up to the police, regardless to say if it was a BB gun or not. And I think on that day, like my life could have been over in that moment. Even without me holding the gun up, like even just them seeing a gun in my hand, they
Right.
could have killed me and been justified and been fine. So I think about that aspect of childhood and like kind of just being able to be free as a kid and to be a kid. Um, we had a whole bunch of other like family stuff, right? If we grew up in a black project, you can imagine we weren't rich. So we had
But we
family
felt
uncles.
rich. We
Yeah.
felt very rich because we had cousins that stayed a couple
Mhm.
apartments down. I had another cousin who stayed right here.
Right, right.
So yeah, I feel that it was very community wise.
Mhm.
I felt the love in our neighborhood for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Leon Bridges has a line where he says, like talking about his childhood, and it's like they weren't rich, but they were rich in love. And I'd echo that. I feel we were rich in love for sure. Um, and I think when you grow up around people who have similar needs as you don't really understand as much that you know that you don't got it right. Like I knew that my dad was taking us to the Converse outlet, and I know that other people had like Nikes and J's. So like I knew I didn't like I didn't have it. Like I wasn't like balling, but like I didn't know like I was as downtrodden or like as low SES as I was in that day. So I think one of my biggest realities was I used to wear my mom's fast food shirt. She worked at a restaurant called Luby's, and it was like a striped shirt. That was a decent like little polo.
I
My
worked
dad,
at Luby's too.
yeah, So I would wear, the polo then. It was like green
Yeah.
and something. So I would wear that polo to school because, work with what you got. And it was a fine polo, as I thought. But one day I was in the locker room and someone was like, "Oh, you wearing a Lucy's polo? Are you wearing it for some movies?" And like they were clowning me and like, y'all was hurt. I was like, listen, I was a kid. That stuck to me to the day. I'm 34 and like I've done plenty, but like I'll never forget that feeling. I'll never forget how I felt. I'll never forget like people clowning me, but I had a work polo on, and I was like, man, this sucks. And it's like because that was one of my integral pieces of clothing that I wore throughout the week. So to take that out of rotation,
It
now
was like, dang, yeah.
so like now what I'm gonna wear. You're trying to piece things together, but now I don't have my work polo. So I'm like, yo. So that sucks even more. But that was just some of my childhood. I think one key piece related to growing up in Hot Springs, Arkansas, when I came to California, it was a cultural shock for me. And one of the biggest cultural shocks, other than other than having schools that are outside, that was my first time having a school without a roof. When I came in California, because we only had indoor schools growing up,
Yeah.
and without lockers. But other than that, it was how kids talk to adults. It blew my mind. They would yell at them, they would curse at them, they would like back talk, they would like it. I was just like, I,
me, me too. Like,
yeah, speechless. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Like all our lives, we grew up saying yes, ma'am, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. We didn't talk back. We didn't do anything like that. It's very respectful where we grew up, and you respect authority as reasonably as possible where we're from. So that was wild. That was I still can't wrap my head around that. So,
I remember that too, because I was like, that little boy said, huh, what?
but who to you?
Right?
Oh Lord.
Okay, so you told us a little bit about your childhood. Now
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about what made you want to, like, we could kind of skip like the high school years a little bit.
Yeah.
Everybody's high school probably was pretty much
Mm-hmm.
the same. I know mine was lit.
No, I wasn't. I was not lit.
Yours wasn't lit.
I had no lights. My lights were out. So,
My high school was lit.
oh
Okay.
no, it was quiet for me. So, and that's hard transitioning out. And, um, so
We was litty over there.
yeah.
But yeah, but high school could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Nerdy, popular, in between, lit, regular, whatever. So
Right.
let's segue into what, like, when you were like in 12th grade or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and what made you say, I knew I wanted to go to college, like I knew I wanted something better.
Right. I think. I mean, I'm going to answer the question, but then I'm going to say something before I answer the question. Um, for me, just in my life journey, one of the key parts of life, in my opinion, is you got to just take life as it comes, and you have to like lean into the unknown, if you will. And I'm a Christian for everybody out there, but for me, it's allowing God to let things unfold and just take an opportunity. Then in my life, all throughout that, He's put the things into place for me. So, like I mean, maybe your situation is different. I know you went to college and God according like had your experience. But like I know our experience is different, but from what I can recall, college wasn't heavily talked about in the house. It was more of the narrative of do good, get good grades, do your homework, make sure you do that, yada yada yada. Use your homework, praising tools over report cards. I don't minimize that stuff because that's important, but like learning and things like that is more important. That's a bigger topic, but uh, that was the that was the vibe. And in 12th grade, I think mom was like, "You want to look like apply for colleges?" I mean, mom is the short answer, right? And then the longer answer is, I was like, "You apply for colleges?" And it's like, "Yeah, we put out the CSU application, which I believe applies to like all CSUs." And I didn't have like a dream college. I didn't know like I wanted to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I knew I took a psychology class in high school, and I knew if I was going to college, I wanted to be a psychology major because it resonated with me and I really appreciated it. So we filled out that application, and yeah, Cal State San Bernardino. The first letter came in the mail that you've been accepted into Cal State San Bernardino. Pardon me, coffee in the evening. So you all might get a few of those, but so it said you've been accepted into Cal State San Bernardino, and since college wasn't like the culture or even knowing like what college was, like dream schools or anything like that, mom was like, "You want to go to Cal State San Bernardino?" And I was like, "Sure." And I went. So, and that's kind of just like my personality is I I see things, or like if I'm available, like throughout my life, I'm probably a little more critical now, but especially in my earlier years, if I was available and it seemed like a good opportunity without even knowing all the details, I would do it. And so I was like, sure. And then my mom was like, oh, there's this summer transitional entrance program where you like start school early, get credit and things like that, and you can like kind of transition into the college. She's like, you want to do that? And I was like, sure. And so I did that, but I'll pause there because that's kind of like how I that's how I got into college. And at that point, I didn't know that I wanted more, or that I wanted to do something different, or that I wanted to that I had aspirations necessarily. Like at that point, it was like, let's just go to college. It's the next step, I guess. Like, let's just do it. So,
Right.
yeah.
So, at that point, like when you got into college, you kind of really you knew you wanted to segue into psychology.
Hmm.
But like, what made that a decision for you?
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I took one class in in high school, but it was, if I can recall correctly, I believe it was like talking about the mind, talking about just different personalities, understanding the brain, really knowing the inner workings of us, and like how people work, and different, uh, studies that they did, and like what those results were. The classic like Pavlov dog and the bell and all that stuff, and like the monkey with the wire, and like would it be more attractive to like physical interaction with just food, and like really seeing how the brain works and people work, and um, that was dope. I was like, oh, this is. I think that was one of the first feelings in high school that I was like I'm interested.
Right.
Before that, I was just like, get A's. I didn't get all A's, everybody, but like uh, that's probably why I ended up at Cal State San Bernardino. Honestly, it's an excellent school, but I don't know. I don't think I was going to Stanford. I didn't even know about Stanford. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know Northern California existed. But it just interested me, and I was like, okay, that's. I know in college you got to like have a major. So I was like, that's going to be my major. I didn't change. I didn't fluctuate. I wasn't like, let's do this, let's do this, let's think about this. I stayed in that the whole time, and that was going to be my major. Oh, there's the feedback is gone now. Yeah. And,
Oh, that's because I cut off. I muted the mic while you were talking. Okay,
oh, that's
but go
helpful.
ahead. Keep going.
Um, that's much helpful. I can even think a little clearer. But yeah, so um, yeah, I stayed with that, and mom has been a pivotal point throughout just my life, in my education, and kind of really, I won't say she led me there, but she's been there as an anchor to like kind of help put pieces together when I was interested in things. I'm going to take most what word am I looking for? Ownership over like the things I did, and like putting my head down and like getting stuff done and like adjusting. So I'm giving myself like all the credit for that. But but mom, she told me about like, let's apply to college, let's get there, and she was there if I had questions. And I mean, I hesitate on that because she really helped me like with financial aid and applying for that, and like filling out my FAFSA. She probably filled out my FAFSA way longer than she should have, honestly. But so she did all that stuff for me and really helped me there, like getting the work done. I got that done. But she worked at a place with a psychologist, and she was like connecting me with him, and I was planning to like try to do some internship at his firm, at his practice, so I can like learn and grow, because like I said, I stuck with psychology. I didn't waver, and kind of when I put my mind to something, like that's what it's going to be for me overall. You know, so I'm going to do psychology. I'm going to be a psychologist. I figured out to do that, you need to go to school after that. So I was thinking about looking into schools. So then I think I kind of like, I still wouldn't say like I was that hungry for like more, but it was more of just like achieving a goal of like what I set my mind to. And like that's kind of been my long-standing mindset. So yeah.
So that's like kind of how you decided to, go into your doctorate's program. So tell us like about how did it feel like when you first got into your bachelor's and your master's
Yeah.
and then you got your doctorates, like,
Mhm.
give us a little bit quick synopsis of how that felt.
Yeah. So the bachelor's was dope. Dope-ish. I think dope-ish because like things are moving fast. Like I was just a young man living life, and like I had my fraternity, I had my brothers, I knew what we were like. We had general ideas and goals. The master's program came at the tail end, like the master's program that I attended, like at the tail end of college. I was in my fifth year. It took me 5 years to graduate. And I was an RA. They did like a little program that introduced us to higher education masters, and they took us to some classes, and I fell in love with the Fullerton program. And I was like, okay, well, I want to be a psychologist, but this is also helping people if I take like this career route. And the application was doing like somewhere between like 2 weeks and a month, I think. I have to ask Aunt, Dr. Banks. But, I got it done. Like, right. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I typed a letter. I explained why I didn't have a 3.5 because I didn't. I can always talk about that, but, I got it done. And the master's was cool, and it felt good like afterwards, like when I was talking to like Antonio and stuff, and we're like, we're gonna come out, we're gonna be making this money, we're about to get paid. Y'all, my first job was like $24,000 with my master's, which was trash. um yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah,
trash.
it was
Yeah.
trash. um it was complete trash. So I mean, not to tangent, but stay the course, right? I think that's the lesson in that. Stay the course, and there I could have been other jobs, but like $24,000 on a 10-month contract, which is still trash. But it came with housing, came with a meal plan. So like if you
Oh
try to,
no, see, you left that part out. So that's amazing. Housing, meal plan. Hey,
yeah,
that's winning right there. That's winning.
I didn't think it was winning because I thought I was gonna be balling, which is like small money now, but I still thought I was gonna be making like 60 G's, right? I was like, I'm making 60 a year. I got my master's. Like, we're gonna be out here eating, and like I wasn't. I was nibbling, right? I wasn't eating. And I was like, so, um, but that segue, like I did that for 2 years, and then I'll get to like the doctors and the feeling like as quickly as possible. But I at the end of my master's program, and this is important to people just kind of like speaking into your life and uh, you believing in yourself. So, like at the end of my master's program, there was a faculty member, Dr. Hoffman, who was talking to us about the next steps, and he was like, "And when you go on to get your doctorates." He's like, "What you will get your doctorates. Like you have to get your doctorate. You'll go on to like change organizations and really be leaders and et cetera, et cetera." And honestly, I think probably until that point, I hadn't really thought about getting a doctorate because, like I said, I thought I had my master's. I thought I made it. I thought I was going to be good, and like I didn't know anybody with masters around me, so like that was it for me. Like I was at a high, right? Like that was the pinnacle for me. Like, and I think in that moment I didn't think I needed to until he said that, and I was like, okay. So I started thinking about it, right? And I worked for 2 years at Cal Poly Pomona, and then I came out here to Cal State Channel Islands, and in my third year I started looking at programs, or I was thinking about programs, and a faculty member from the Cal State Fullerton program, they reach out to students and they call and say like, have you thought about a doctorate? And I was like, Dr. Hunter, like, I don't know if I want to do that doctorate. I don't know if I want to do it in community college leadership, and higher education. I'm not really sure of the next steps. And he gave me like one of the wisest guys on the planet, but he gave me some really quick advice. And in short, he was like, listen, he's like, it doesn't really matter where you get it from or even the specialization sometimes, but like once they see the degree, and like that's going to set you up for success within itself. It's like, okay. So I decided to pursue that. And I got waitlisted at first, which hurt my feelings. I don't think I had ever been waitlisted for anything, and I was like, I know the faculty, I know the program, etc. But I got waitlisted, and long story short, to really answer the question, like I said, I can go on for days. I The feeling of when I got in the doctoral program was inferior. The feeling was I didn't belong there. The feeling was scared. I was a coordinator when I was in my doctoral program, and my peers were chancellors. My peers were deans. My peers were just really like big people doing it and like getting it done. Um, so I didn't really feel like I belonged. I felt small in my doctoral program, and it took a while for me to believe in myself and understand my worth and what I brought to the table and what I had to provide. But when I graduated, I mean, yo, that was. And it took a while because Soren came. I have a son and a wife, and like
We gonna talk about all that.
okay, so
We go. That's later.
okay, well, when I graduated, that felt great. That I always say, like joining my fraternity used to be the hardest thing I had ever did, but then graduating from that doctoral program and like finishing that was bar none the second. No, it probably raised to the top, like the first, like the hardest thing I ever did in my life. So that felt great when I finished that, but it took a while to believe in myself and understand who I was and what my worth was and that I belonged in that space.
So let's get into family life because you waited. You literally waited like until you had set yourself up in the way that you really wanted to be in order to have children.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I tell my children this now because a lot of times, we don't listen when we're younger. And I tell them, like, get your education. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Travel a little bit because you and your wife, y'all got to travel before y'all
Mm-hmm.
had Soren. I mean, y'all still do now, but it was more so,
Way less,
y'all
yeah.
did it more so before. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, get your education, travel, do those things before you have children. And you are actually one of the few people that I know that actually set their lives up like that. And so what did you guys plan it that way? Did y'all planned it that way?
Yeah.
So that's good. Like that I will definitely commend you on that. And I think you're a wonderful father, by the way. Very caring, very attentive, there with his wife, you know, these are things that we don't normally get to see in Black men. He went to school. He came from the projects, y'all. First of all, he came from the projects, okay? Went to college. We didn't have a lot of money. So a lot of people are saying, oh, I don't have enough money to go to college or things like that. What do you say to people who say those things?
I say get her done. No, there's a few things about college and money, and uh, I think one of the key things, and this transitions into family as well, is sometimes you don't often have enough, and this is like family and time and money until you do it right. So there's there's grants, there's scholarships, there's loans, and I know people don't want to take out loans and things like that, but if you can, and if you do it right, like there's ways, like you can go to a community college, which a lot of you can do that free in many places. I know in Ventura.
That's how I started, y'all.
Yeah,
And y'all know I'm getting my doctorate in psychology. So
yeah, let's
that's
go.
how I started.
Hmm.
So
So even that, you can get that free in a lot of places. Like where I live, Ventura County, if you're a resident, you go to Ventura College for free for the first 2 years, and then
wow.
you can knock that out, and then you only have 2 years to pay for it if you get it done right. So like the money, like there still could be loans, but it's worth it. And a small tangent just about like that is you got to understand that college isn't just about the degree. College is really because you can learn that stuff outside of college, but college is an excellent place for networking and not just with like faculty and all that stuff. Like that stuff's cool, but like some of the most influential people and what I tell students all the time is like you got to be intentional about your peer group. You got to understand that these are the change makers. These are the people who will move the world. These people that you're with right now, network with these individuals, because these will be the people who will shape culture and change things. Like the people up there can be cool. They can plug you into internships and help out. But you really got to understand that college is a place where you can build connections. You can meet people. You have to put that money to work. And it's really one of the very few places where you can be around so many like-minded people working towards a goal, B, so many people who are not like-minded. So you have people literally studying psychology, business, finance, athletics. You have people who are Christian, Jewish, Buddhist. You have people who came from America, Europe, Africa, Nigeria, which is in Africa, of course. So you have like people from all over the world, right? So it's a very rare experience where you can have the world in one place where you can learn from so many people. So it's key to take advantage of that. And you have to understand that this money is not just going to a degree. This money is going to an experience. This money is going to a network. This money is going towards connections. So what I say to those people is like, get it done. But I mean, there's a few things, right? If you do a trade or you go to community college, you can like do what I wanted to do. You can come out making 60, 80, 100, being a welder or something like that. So you don't even have to get like a 4-year degree or a master's or a doctorate. But if you want to go that education route, you have to not become impatient with yourself. You got to stay the course. I encourage people, get that advanced degree, get that other advanced degree, and like get there. So for me, and what like one of the reasons I have my doctorate is like now I'm in the place where whatever job I want, especially in my field, there won't be this like you don't have this. Like I'm looking at when I look at jobs, it says like doctorate preferred or doctorate mandatory, and I'm never in a situation where it's like, if only I had this. I'm like, if only it was that. So like your world gets much bigger if you just stay the course and get those degrees. So, not like a flex or anything, but like the jobs I'm looking at are looking in the future. Some of them is like 140, 150 a year, 200, 240 a year, right? So like those are my goals. I don't want to work for anybody forever anyways, but just from like an occupational standpoint, like the world opens up a lot more. So I go from looking at $20,000 jobs to $30,000 jobs to now to looking at 120 to 200 to $300,000 jobs and a year. So like if you stay the course, then you'll be able to pay those loans back or like do whatever you need to do. You'll meet people, you'll open up businesses, you'll form connections, your world will get a lot bigger. And yeah, just my peer group from like college, Charles, Antonio, Tokes, Chris, all doing major things, all have businesses, all have vending machine routes, all have companies. And that has expanded my mind way bigger than just a job. So now I'm like, okay, like how can we get it? How can we do this? How can we do this? I started a business. And that wasn't from my professors, y'all. That wasn't from my faculty. That's from my friend group, my network. That is key. And I wouldn't have gotten that. You can never say never, right? But like I feel confident that I wouldn't have known those people if I didn't go to college. So that's what I say to those individuals. And I'm passionate about college, if you can't tell.
So tell us, like, what is family like for you? Like, what kind of father are you? What kind of parenting skills do you have? What kind of husband is Dr. Gary?
Yeah, let's talk about it. One of my favorite things. Family life is dope. It's hard. It's hard if you want to be a good Black dad, if you want to be a good father, if you want to be a good parent. It's hard. If you just want to have your kids and your family exist, it's easy, right? Like you come home, I can come home and be like, I worked all day. Where's my dinner? And get the kid, put that boy to bed. I'm tired. But like, that's not right. Like that's not success. You got to be in it. So for me, I'm in it, right? And a small tangent is I felt like I had to teach myself how to be a man, which has really contributed to my identity as a father and a husband. As my sister know, right? Like we grew up with domestic abuse, and my dad wasn't like and they overcome all that, etc. But like my dad wasn't like, Gary, this is how you do this, and like these are the ways you like talk to a woman, and this is how you treat, and these are the things that you're supposed to do, and these are like this is how you be a good dad, and make sure you spend this time with your kids. So like I had to spend like a lot of time just exploring what it meant to be a man to me and what it meant to be a father. I had to learn how to be open, how to talk about my feelings early in my relationship as a husband. I would just shut down, right? Like that was my natural inclination. If something bothered me, she'd be like, "What's going on?" Like, it's fine.
And you know what? That's
It's
me
fine.
too. Well, I used to be like that. And that's because that's how our daddy is.
Hmm.
Our daddy be like, get out my face. I don't
Yep.
want to hear it. So yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So you have to be cognizant of those things and be aware of like how they affect you. So, you know, one of the key pieces into my journey into fatherhood or and to being a husband was like in those moments, like when I was shut down or if I wouldn't engage or if I would make Ashley feel small, I saw what it did to her. I saw how she felt and I did not like it. And I know that's not who I wanted to be. So I know I had to like make some changes and I had to be vulnerable. And I mean, I think it's paid huge dividends, right? Like I'm vulnerable in all aspects of my life now and I continue to do it. But you can ask me anything and I'll tell you and I'll tell you my heart. I'll tell you how I feel. I'll tell you like what's making me sad. So like it took a while though to say like, oh, this made me feel like this way. Or like even I'm overwhelmed, or even, well, like I was only doing this because like these were my insecurities in this area, right? So like even being vulnerable enough to talk about your insecurities and your deficits and loving and trusting someone enough to give them that, you owe that to your wife. And if you're a woman, you owe that to your husband to talk and to give your vulnerabilities because that's how you grow. So that's in a short, that's how I am as a husband. And then like as a father, like I'm super intentional. Like I'm intentional about what I'm doing when I'm around my son. I'm intentional about what I'm saying. I'm intentional to how I respond to like his anger and things like that. I'm intentional about just I understand that he's watching and observing everything. So I don't like cook or clean that much, but I want to make sure that I'm cleaning, I'm sweeping when he's up. I want to make sure I'm washing dishes when he's awake. I want to make sure that I'm hugging him and I'm kissing him. I want to make sure that he sees this is how a family works. This is what it means to be a man. I want to make sure that he knows when things are a crap show and like when I'm stressed at my highest for him, that I'm calm, I'm peaceful, I'm patient, and I know he's picking up on all these things. And I want him to know that he's my son and what I have is his. And I call him daddy's baby all the time. And he says now he says mommy's baby too. But at first he starts saying like daddy's baby, daddy's baby, daddy's baby. I'm like, who's daddy's baby? He come in, he's like, daddy's baby, daddy's baby. And like, that's what he needs to know, that he's my baby and I will do whatever for him. But it's not right, you all, it's not just like love and peace. It's intentionality in every aspect. And that's who I am as a father. If I work, I've said before, I do DoorDash and all that stuff too for like extra cheese sometimes or like to help out. But even if I worked from like 8 a.m. to actually, let's say Soren went down and I worked and did something until like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and I had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like all he knows is daddy's happy to see me. It's a good day. I'm excited. I'm intentional. I'm engaged. I'm engaged with his mom. I'm engaged with him. He never needs to know like, oh, he's working hard. Like he doesn't have time for me. Whatever I got going on and what I'm processing, that will never take away from me being a father and the importance of my child and him knowing that he's loved and he has everything. So short and long about like what it means to be a father, but you know.
Definitely. That's some good stuff. Good stuff. So, like, tell us, like, what is it like? What is married life for you? Like, what kind of husband are you?
Yeah.
What kind of husband is Dr. Gary Gordon?
Um, let's see. I think Ashley came in. She probably can tell you. But
I know Ashley should
yeah,
have came and told us that part.
right. Ask her. No, I'm a good husband, and like I said, I'm a good father. And but I did want to circle back and say shout out to Black women, shout out to moms and things like that because we did plan our life and we did travel. Like we went to Singapore, we went to South Korea to visit Jerry, we went to Paris. Like we've been in like multiple states within the multiple places within the United States, and we did all that. But Ashley really wanted to do that. She wanted to wait. Ideally, she wanted to wait till I finished my degree before we had a kid. But shout out to women because I was like, let's do it. Let's get it done. Let's get married. I wanted a kid early on. She was like, no, 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 no. Goalies up, get out. No, no, no. So, hey, shout out to her because if it wasn't for her, if she just let me have my way, I don't
It
know.
would have been harder, huh?
Oh, much harder, extremely harder. It'd been we were able to like move and like come work out here and like we're able to just be more agile, right? Without a kid. Kids are great, but like you got five of them. Like they change you. You can't move as easily. You can't just like go. You can't do whatever. You can't just take a job. Like if I didn't have a kid now and I had a job in like a job offer in Northern California, I just up and go. But not now. It's like, okay, we got Soren, we got to think about daycare, we got to think about family, we got to think about what that looks like. And the options are different. So, shout out to Ashley, who has changed my life immensely, who has made me better, who has encouraged me, who has supported me, and likewise for her. So, as a husband, I'm the same. I'm supportive. I'm encouraging. Like I said, I don't want her to feel small. I want her to feel loved. I want her to know that I'll do whatever it takes for her. And I'm not perfect, y'all, right? Like sometimes Ashley asks me for a massage, and I'm like, yo, I'm tired. Like I don't want to do it. I'm not like anything you need, baby, right now. Like the world's yours. Like I'm not like
You be
like I
like,
said, I'll
not
be
right
honest
now.
and open. Like
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, right? Like I still like, even though I'm really thoughtful and intentional about like my feelings and expressing, like I have to give like a vulnerable area today. Like I shot her a message, like, this is just kind of how I'm feeling around this. But, like there are still moments where like I keep stuff in and I don't share as much as I could or as quickly or fast as I can. But overall, like as a husband, I'm solid. Like I will make her happy. I'll try to keep things fresh. Like that's key in a marriage. There's countless stories of that. Like when we went to Paris, like we went into the Louis store and she was just like looking at bags, but she didn't know like I was gonna buy her a bag. So like things like kept her fresh.
Okay.
I'm not like, and I'm not trying to like flex. I'm not trying to flex, but and the same thing, like in Hawaii, right? Like I was like, let's go in the Louis store and like let's like check out. And these were like occasions, right? One is for anybody who don't have a wife or like a kid. There's a thing called a push present that a lot of dads don't know about. I think
What?
yeah. There's a thing called a push present, right? So a push present is, and if your wife or mother of your child don't know, don't let her watch this episode because it's a thing. But a push present is you give your wife a present for having a baby. So like literally a present for pushing. So it's called a push present.
Oh yeah. Shoot, I should have had about five of those.
You could have 5 bags, girl.
Right. Where's my Louis? No.
So the Louis bag in Paris was the push present. Well, Paris was the push present. But I decided to give her a bag on top of that because that felt appropriate. And then I wanted to take it. So this is who I am as a husband, right? Like not settling and leaning into I had pushback at first. I'm like, yo, what? Like, chill. I'm gonna give you a present for having this baby. But I reflect on things and it made sense. And I wanted to take that a step further. And I wanted to give her a try present. So actually, the Paris bag might have been a try present, and Hawaii might have been push present. But anywho, I don't know. I get a mix. But in Hawaii, I was like, "You want to go to the Louis store and like let's just look around." She's peeking through, and so I was like, "Oh, like what bags do you like?" It's like this one, and then the salesperson was like, "Okay, anything else?" I was like, "Yeah, we'll take the bag," and she was like.
Her eyes got big. She was like, for real?
So, one of those, I wanted to honor engaging in the journey of childhood and like joining that with me. And I felt like it was special to like, this is big for us, right? It's not just like, let's have a baby. We're growing our family, like we're growing our union. The way we view the world will change. The way we view each other will change. So like, I'm a husband who wants to honor those special moments and appreciate those special moments, and not take those things for granted, not take Ashley for granted. I want her to feel loved every day. We've been married for since 2011.
Real,
Well,
that's a
yeah,
long time.
September 2011, right? And I never want things to be normal, right? I never want her to not feel loved or for us to just feel like friends. So like today in that message, I shot her a message and I was like, I love you. I appreciate you. And one other thing I forgot, and I gave her the tongue emoji, like right. So you know, like that's those are some of the things that I am as a husband. But I mean, really, like the push present seemed like nonsense. But hey, shout out to women again because until you have a baby and like, your life is your life is at risk, your body is at risk. Like for my kid, Soren, my first son, we have a baby girl Autumn on the way. But for Soren, I we had to have an emergency C-section. Ashley's placenta abrupted. So the doctors and things were like, if you would have came in a few hours later or even the next day, since it's essentially internal bleeding, Ashley could have died and Soren could have died. Both in one night. I could have lost my whole family. And a lot of women have a lot of stories. So, what's a bag? What's a trip? What's a ring to somebody literally putting their life at stake to grow your family? Like, you deserve a gift. Like, you should have something. And then, like, the recovery and things like that, like, it should be a thank you. Like, I'm just sitting here drinking IPAs. Like, I'm drinking a beer and hanging out or like drinking coffee. And like, she's like, I can't sleep. I got knots. I'm uncomfortable. And like, my body's at risk. I'm like, I don't want to give you a gift. Like, what? Like, come on, chill.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's at least you're not selfish. So shout out for you guys because y'all do have my niece on the way,
Mm-hmm.
coming through the building, Autumn. Okay, and I'm so excited about that. I can't wait to see how she look. She gonna look like her auntie too. No.
Hey, well, who knows? They say my son don't look like me, so I'm not optimistic. But
He look just like you. I'm so tired of people saying that. But anyways, because I know how you looked when you was little. But
you need that thing where you can put a picture up and like edit it so like comes up, do a little side by side, so we can.
yeah, I wish I had your baby pictures. So, um, do a lot of people tell you like that they think because I think you're a great role model. So do a lot of people tell you that they think you're a good role model? Do you have people that actually look up to you? Because I know it's a lot of times people don't want to talk about those things because they're trying to be humble.
Mm-hmm.
But so do you have that going on? Any mentoring that you possibly do?
Um, not as much as I deserve, honestly, but I'm just kidding. I'm very not humble. But I think
Hold up. I'm very not humble.
uh, but quick side story. When me and Mrs. Leia was talking, she was like, I think you're like a good role model and a dope dad. And I said, yeah, I am dope. And I agree, right? And I like the things that she said, and I stand by those. And I guess my side thing is you gotta know your worth. You gotta understand who you are. You gotta understand like your accomplishments and what you've done, and like the critical role you play in society and in your relationships and things like that. So I don't take any of my successes or any of like my intentionality, any of my things that I've done for granted, and I'm not gonna like downplay myself or anything like that because
Thank you. Thank you. I get so tired of black men. You guys, y'all got to stop downplaying yourself because if you don't have confidence in you, who else will? If you don't feel like you are a dope king, if you don't feel like you are amazing, if you don't have that, then who else will?
Mhm.
That's what our people always had as black men, as kings. We always, the black men were very confident men, and we need to get that back. You should not care about the crabs in the barrels or all the other people trying to pull you down or make you feel less than,
Yep.
because you're amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Say it. And you do the world, and we'll get to that mentor piece, but like kind of with that, like you do the world a disservice when you make yourself feel small. You don't help anyone out. So if you feel small, and that's what I was talking about, like with your wife and things like that, if you make your wife feel small or people like that, you do a disservice because people shrink when they feel small. It's in the word, right? And then you don't allow your voice to shine. You don't allow people to see like what you can bring to the table. And you miss out, people miss out on the opportunity to have their lives spoken into. People miss out on the opportunity to learn from you and your growth and your experience and your struggles and your accomplishments. So yeah, like she said, like you got to stand tall and you can't shrink yourself because everyone has something to bring. Everyone has a voice. The world deserves to hear from you. Everyone has a story, regardless of bachelor's, master's, doctorate, even if you just have a middle school degree. Like you have a story, you have resiliency, you have brilliance, like you have a voice. Like people need to hear from you. People need to learn and grow from you. So I don't do a lot of mentoring, and it shocked me later that not like unintentionally, right? I just uh, kind of what I was talking about, like the time and commitment I've put into like my family and me, like focusing on like school and things like that, that has consumed just a lot of me. But one of the things I appreciate, even passively, people have come and said like, seeing you in this position, or seeing you do this, or seeing you and you like do these things, it's inspiring. And people are watching you. People are looking up to you. And sometimes, sorry, pardon me, sometimes people don't think they can do something until they see someone who looks like them do it. So yeah, there's a lot of like just indirect mentoring, and people haven't seen like a lot of black people with doctorates. And I remember when I saw my first doctor as a black man, a black person, like I was like, whoa. I was like, she looks so young, and like that's attainable. And I was like, now I'm that person, right? Like people see me and like they don't think that of me. And people can see like, oh, this is attainable, like I can grasp this, I can do this. So yeah, I do like a lot of, not do, like I think there's just a lot of indirect mentoring that happens, but that is an aspect of my life that I want to beef up. And I think the Lord has spoken that over my life, and people have talked to me about like how I am inspirational and like how I've helped them, and how they appreciate like my vulnerability and opening up and like talking about just life and like really digging in and being intentional and engaging. But as I continue, I want to speak more directly into people's lives. And I think that is one of my callings that the Lord has on my life. So we'll get there eventually at a grander scale.
Yeah, I think that you are a great speaker. I remember the moment that I realized that you had, I always knew you had grew up, but to me, you still my little brother. To me, Jerry's my still
Jerry's
my
30
baby
now.
brother.
Wow. Sorry.
Like it is what it is. I just look at y'all like my little brother. But for me, I felt like when our brother had passed away, and you had spoke at his funeral, and I was like, wow, like Gary, he needs to go into speaking, because I felt like that was a very positive message that you had given at our brother's funeral. And so that was like, at that point I felt like, I still feel that you should definitely go into some speaking. I think that that would be super dope, and you have a lot to offer to, young black men. So before we get up out of here, y'all, we've been here coming up on an hour, but before we get up out of here, tell everybody about your business. Where can they purchase your books, your Instagram, everything? Give us a little synopsis about that before we head out.
Yeah. And thank you. I appreciate it, sis. And yeah, that means a lot. And if the Lord willing, I would love to speak and do that on a grander scale, and really just continue to speak into people, and yeah, help change lives. Right, like that's what I'm about. I don't take my gifts or my abilities or what I bring to the world lightly. And I want to change lives, and I believe the Lord has that on my life to really speak into people and be thoughtful, and really help just shift and change, and really make waves, right? Not just ripples. So that's one, and that's kind of like part of my business and my idea. So currently, I have two children's ish books. I have the ABCs of isolation, which is like the ABCs from being in quarantine to like a long walk in the living room, and but like fun ways where you can like teach your kids ABCs, but also I think it'll last through the ages. And right now I'm currently only digital, but I'm working on print, and I'll be putting a course out there on just like creating a book and letting people know how easily and accessible it is to like not only write a book from a digital perspective, but also to print a book and to know that you can. And like we were saying, like you have a voice and people need to hear from you and it's attainable. And if you want to work with me on that and what that looks like, or even editing, we can talk about things like that. But you can email me at withgarylove@gmail.com, and we can even talk through that more closely. And we can get on a phone call or something like that. So that's my email address. And then also do custom poems. So in short, if you purchase the poem, then you'll get an automatic Google sheet, which will be a short 1 to 2 minute survey, or if you want to be longer, to ask like the name, who's the poem's for, and then it will like say like if you want to share like a personal story, and then like I'll write that from scratch. I can do it pure digital, or I can put it in a frame and ship it to you. And it's an excellent gift for Christmas. So I've written poems from like a dad to his daughter. I've written a poem from a mom to her daughter. I've written a poem for a girlfriend. I've written a poem for a best friend who like they had kind of broken apart and like they went through some hard times. So they want to like, rekindle that friendship. And this individual wanted to let her friend know that like she was still there for them. And it was a beautiful poem, right? Like I think they're all beautiful, and I really love like I pray over everything before I write it, and I like it's great how it comes together, and I'll always send it to the person first. And so for the last person I was talking about, she was like, "Oh, could you add this in?" Or like, "I really want to like touch on this point." So I edited a few lines and things like that, and then like we sent it off, satisfaction guaranteed. So you can do a poem, and then I have like more books and like content coming out in the future. But with Gary Love at Instagram, the link is in the bio. Right now, I'm still working on the domain, so I don't want to give you like my Shopify long thing, but the bit.ly/ with Gary Love will get you straight to the website, and I'll give this to Catalea as well, and we can get that information out. And on Twitter, Gary Love. That's Gary L, 7 O's, VE7, the number of completion. 7 is a holy number, so that's why I'm Gary Love on Twitter. But yeah, that's me. And like the overall goal for the business is just to touch lives, to change lives, to produce positive content, to produce content for families and people. There's nothing about like, strippers or anything like that. All like kid friendly, family friendly. So, hey, shout out to strippers though. Do your thing. Like none of these strippers. Hey, shout out to the strippers, man. I don't have anything.
Like they gotta make their money
Exactly.
too. Yeah, that's crazy because all of us are artistic. Me, you, and Jerry. I'm into poetry. I have a whole poetry book that I haven't even put out yet. It's 100 poems. I have it done. I just haven't put it out yet. I don't know what I'm waiting for. But anyway, Jerry, Gary, we all like into the arts.
Yeah.
Even my brother, rest in peace his soul. He was a rapper and a writer. So that's dope. So thank you so much for coming on and just sharing things about your life with us. Everybody out there, I hope that this gave you some kind of hope to let you know that good black men do exist. Let's stop putting down our brothers. Let's stop putting them down. And I'm going to have more and more positive black male role models on this show. So be on the lookout. After I have all of my black role model guests, then we're going to follow that with a documentary. So love you, brother. Thank you for coming on, and I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Love and light, y'all.
All right, y'all. Take care.